Welcome to the broadcast, my dear fruit crumbles. As ever, it is swelteringly, blisteringly hot, and yes, there are some fans in this bedchamber, but I turn them off and the aircon so that I can speak to you. I'm sorry if I'm glowing, but I don't do powder, so you're going to have to put up with me glowing. I also can't find my earrings. I packed too much and I've hidden them somewhere. The hiding place is too good because I can't find them. I will settle down the camera in a moment, but I thought I'd give you a glimpse of this bed because this is where it all began, my dears. In this very room. The bedchamber that you see behind me and around me in this suite at Cliveden is where Meghan spent her final night as a Markle. Yes, this is the wellspring where it all began, and if you stick around towards the end of the broadcast, I will give you a tour of the room and we can have a peek into all the nooks and the crannies, and let's hope that Meghan didn't leave any remnants, any Markle evidence of her being here, or Doria. This is the place where Meghan's entourage assembled, the makeup artists, the glam, members of the family, well, okay, Doria. This is where excitement brewed and a bride-to-be was adorned and adored. This house is called Cliveden, and it's on the borders of Buckinghamshire. Actually, I think it's in the ceremonial county of Buckinghamshire, but on the borders of Berkshire, where it's usually described as being. And you might remember it, actually. You will have seen footage, if you were watching at the time, of Doria and Meghan being greeted here. And she was greeted with every dignity, afforded every courtesy from the kingdomers that they would later go on to disparage. You might remember catching a glimpse, those first glimpses of Meghan's wedding white that she didn't want to let the late Queen know all about. I wonder why she didn't want the late Elizabeth to know the details of her dress too far in advance. Well, we all know that the late Queen thought that Meghan's gown was rather like the balcony at Buckingham Palace, according to some. Too white. But this is where we got the first glimpse of it, as she departed, and she wended her way to her destiny as a Duchess and a Royal Highness, followed by her stint as a vulgar merchantress, which continues to this day. Cliveden has a long and rich history. It's actually rather interesting, and it's only been a hotel for a few years in comparison to its history. It became an hotel in 1985, and it has 47 rooms. So as grand as it is, especially the grounds, which are remarkably stunning, as grand as it is, it retains a cosy, familial feel. It's really quite enchanting, and it's like a home from home. Speaking of homes, a few of you have asked me, while I was in various other locations recently, if I was at my own house, and some of you assumed that I was prancing and dancing around my own home. Please, if I didn't make it clear enough in the previous videos. No, none of these are my home or my house. Alas, alack, my dear, you could fit my home into the bathroom of most of these places, to be quite honest with you. My home is tiny, my petit salon, so no. I certainly don't live anywhere grand or regal or plush, and I certainly ain't rich enough to do so. So let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away. But we can all have fun visiting, can't we? These wonderful country houses and these marvellous places. This is the Lady Astor suite, which is the grandest suite at Cliveden and one of the grandest suites in the country. It's named, in fact, for Nancy Astor. Many of you will know of the Astor family. And Nancy made her salon here for the Cliveden set of the 20s and 30s, and she was American-born, so she has those American links, as do many, actually, of these grandees of the country set of the 20s and 30s. These imports from America went down very well, not least because of the money that they brought in, but also because of the chutzpah and that wonderful American spirit, you understand. And unlike the Duchess of Sussex, Nancy Astor didn't just talk the talk. No, she didn't, because she became the first woman member of Parliament, the first woman seated as an MP, and she served from 1919 to 1943, so quite a stint there. And she was actually a fruit of Virginia. Yeah, she was raised around Virginia, like one of my beautiful Virginia creepers. No, my Virginia fruits, with that wonderful southern charm, no doubt. The first marriage failed, and it was her second marriage, you see, to another American-born Britisher, Waldorf Astor, She married him in 1906, and along with the Sancy diamond, the Cliveden estate was a little wedding gift, just a little, small little something or other, you know. This whole estate and this country house, oh, it was just a little wedding gift, a little amuse-bouche, you understand, from the father of Waldorf, old Wally Astor. Yeah. It was from the father for a wedding gift. One of the most stunning aspects of this suite is the terrace. There's an enormous private terrace, which I'll show you in some of the footage. I'm not sure if Meghan and her entourage were able to use it because of all the prying and peeking of various camera lenses. But it's certainly a wonderful place to bring a party together, have some drinks, canapes, this, that, and the fourth. And there's also a view of Windsor. I haven't seen it yet because I'm not wearing my speckies. And I'm not sure which direction it's in, but you can see Windsor from here. So it was only a stone's throw away to the chapel. You know, on a clear day you can see it. And the house is a blend of Palladial style together with Roman Cinquecento. It's, in fact, an Italianate mansion, crowning the ridge of the Chiltern Hills, with the present house having been constructed in the 1850s for the Duke of Sutherland, and the terrace or viewing platform on which the 3 stories sit is 17th century. But the original house, because 2 of the incarnations of this house actually burned down, you know, fire was such a huge risk until recent innovation, wasn't it? But 2 of the incarnations were actually destroyed, the original ones. But the original house was constructed in 1666 for the Duke of Buckingham. Well, in the 1700s, it was actually leased to Frederick, Prince of Wales, of that era, who was the heir apparent to the throne, you understand. He was the eldest son of George II and father to George III. We've discussed him on the broadcast, actually, a few times. This sorry character because he fell out with his father, the king. He became estranged. Do you remember? And there was lots of drama. Oh, ever so much drama. We've discussed it before. And he died at the age of 44, so he never made it to his supposed destiny as king. It was unfulfilled, but he leased this place. He rather liked it here. Charles Barry was the name of the architect who was commissioned to rebuild Cliveden in his own carnation, and actually Barry's most famous work is likely the Houses of Parliament. As they're called, really, it's the Palace of Westminster, but that was his work, as was this, you see. So, through the ages, Cliveden's passed through a number of hands, including the Orkneys, the Earl of Orkney, the Countess of Orkney, and then there were the Warrenders, followed by the Duke of Sutherland, the Duke of Westminster, involved all the Grosvenor set, you understand, and then finally the Astors. And the first Viscount Astor, William Waldorf, who was the father of Waldorf himself, led a very reclusive life here after the death of his wife, and he is the chap who then gifted Cliveden to his son Waldorf, who married Nancy Langhorne, who became Nancy Viscountess Astor. And then the father, William, also owned Hever Castle, so he moved after Hever. All right for some, isn't it, my dear? Well, thus began a mythical spree which imbues this place with its spirit to this very day, you see, as Lady Nancy Astor breathed the life of a natural hostess into Cliveden, and doubtless some American glamour into it as well. There was entertainment galore, there was partying off the scale, sex, all kinds of debauchery, done in great style, of course. And Cliveden became a destination for the glitterati of the era. There were film stars, there were writers, artists, politicians, and its heyday was between the 2 world wars of the previous century. And rooms such as this very salon were the epicenter of the hub of elite activity. Winston Churchill would come here, Charlie Chaplin, Mahatma Gandhi, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Joseph Kennedy, Rudyard Kipling, Edith Wharton, George Bernard Shaw, everyone, absolutely everybody who was in. And in 1942, the Astors gave Cliveden to the National Trust. Wasn't that very kind of them, together with a vast endowment? In today's money, it would be 14 or 15 million pounds. At that time, it was an endowment of £250,000. Extremely generous. This was on the proviso that the family could remain living here until they decided not to. And should they cease to desire living here, they made the proviso that the house be used for promoting friendship and understanding between the peoples of the United States and Canada and the other dominions. Isn't that very nice? There are 375 acres of gardens open to the public, and they receive over 500,000 visitors here every year. It's a very popular attraction. And This is really nice. The part of the River Thames that flows through the estate is known as Cliveden Reach. And it's a very pretty spot, actually. It's made full use of now and during the boating craze of the Victorian and Edwardian eras, and the Astors were very much into river craft, as many of the families were in those days, into the skiffs and the canoes and the punts and the whiffs and the dinghies. And this is the very special thing. In 1908, Kenneth Graham, who was a very regular visitor, was inspired to write a book after spending time at Cliveden Reach, messing about in boats. Yes, you might have heard of it. And Alexandrina, in her role as Queen Victoria, adored Cliveden, and she would sail the Thames from Windsor to spend time in gossip here with the Duchess of Sutherland. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? And Queen Elizabeth, when she was Princess Elizabeth, together with Princess Margaret Rose, and chaperoned by the late Queen Elizabeth as she was, Queen Mother as she became later, visited Cliveden on one of their earliest royal duties, it was in 1938, to meet the Kennedy clan. Yes, they came here to meet the Kennedys, who were being hosted by the Astors. Actually, as I was looking around earlier and speaking to one of the gentlemen who works here, he was telling me about the Beatles, who made up some sort of famous scene in the French dining room that he was showing me. I'll try and flash in a few pictures or footage of that spot as well. There's some gorgeously done rooms here in the most vivid, special colourways. At the height of their power, the Astors were one of the great American dynasties. You had the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies, and the Mellons, and the Astors. And before anyone corrects me on that pronunciation, by the way, of Carnegie, I know that there's Carnegie and even Carnegie. I think I pronounced it Carnegie Hall for many a year, but I'm going off of Andrew Carnegie's own pronunciation of it, my dear, because he was in fact Scottish. He was a Scottish American, born in Dunfermline. So, yeah, Carnegie, that's the pronunciation. Cliveden is a house of secrets, and you can feel it. You can feel the secrets quiver within the walls. Some that come to light and are exposed, and one in particular that was the subject of an enormous scandal, the Profumo affair. It played out within these grounds. The whole debacle began here, and it shook the establishment and British Parliament to its core. In 1961, the Cold War was in progress, but it was a hot and sultry summer here at Cliveden, where a 19-year-old gal by the name of Christine Keeler decided to take a little dip in the pool just outside. And she was attending one of the Astor's summer parties, a midsummer party in one of the gardens. They were always the height of gaiety. And she had been brought along, but she wasn't the only newbie around. There was also an emerging Conservative politician, Secretary of State for War by the name of John Profumo. And he was a married man, betrothed to the actress Valerie Hobson, and following their chance encounter poolside between Christine Keeler and John Profumo, an illicit affair ensued. Yep, it all kicked off here. However, the young Christine was conducting a simultaneous affair with a Soviet spy, and she later confessed to behaving in the manner of a spy herself, albeit unwittingly. She actually blamed her youth, and she was horrified to think that she put any of the country's reputation or safety at risk. This is what she said in later years. She blamed her youth, her naivete, and she said that she didn't realise that her actions would be so damaging to the country. Well, the affair forced Profumo's resignation, and it damaged the reputation of the Prime Minister of the time, Harold Macmillan, forever impacting the course of British politics. The reverberations are felt today. And this is the view out of one of the windows. I'll just do a quick scan here of the room. Please ignore my disgusting, tatty, cheap suitcase that I never get round to upgrading, but I will one day. But we're going to have a poke around all the crevices and the creases and look at the goodies you get when you arrive, to see what Meghan and Doria might have been treated to upon their arrival here before the wedding night. There's some wasabi pieces there. there's a trail mix, and then there's some mini chocolate buttons. I think mini chocolate buttons are the things that I would salivate over the most. I have a personal greeting here. I trust your stay will be a memorable one from the duty manager. Some water, still and sparkling. Something smelly there. Branche d'Olive is the brand or the name of it. Then you get some nibbles. You get some nibbles, some sort of macaron, and chocolate and strawberry. Always a nice mix. Trying to get you under there to see. Past my selfie stick. Some sort of, I think it's blackcurrant in gold, or blackberry in gold. Then I was pleased with this because I really wanted a drink at the bar when I arrived. But they throw in this for you. Some champagne, Laurent Perrier, on ice. So I shall be very pleased to take a sip of that in a moment. Now, this isn't the biggest room I've stayed in recently. I've got to tell you, or that is the grandest room at Cliveden. I don't know if it's the largest, but it's purportedly the grandest. It's not large compared to ones that I've stayed in recently. It looks larger online, but it's still, of course, plenty of room here. I love these. I love these with the little lampshades, and it doesn't bother me that some of them are wonky and crooked. It adds to the charm. I actually prefer it when some of them are wonky, because if everything's too perfect, then you're afraid of moving or touching anything, aren't you? But you can see that they have these cherubim here. Cherubim adorning the lampshade at the bed. Ooh, you've got these affairs. You can switch on and off for reading. The N is for Nancy Astor, of course. I'm not sure this is her actual bedroom when she left here, but of course it formed part of her salon, and I think it must have been one of the major rooms due to the position on the first floor and the view. But I can't say for sure. The drapes. Really lovely, typical of a country house. This is an air conditioning unit that was on when I arrived, but thankfully it worked and I could turn it off. There's some people down there merrymaking. The view is absolutely magnificent. I've got to tell you, it stretches for miles. Apparently you can see Windsor Castle from here somewhere, but I haven't got my glasses on, so I'm not quite sure where. Nice chest of drawers here. Verbena, Branche d'Olive. Oh, it's verbena is the aroma. I'm not really getting a whiff of it. Now, hasn't Meghan left anything in the drawers? A snot rag or a hair wrap? Or... No, it looks like they're all fine. Here are the bedside drawers here. No one's left any money in them, unfortunately. Okay, I'm just going to shut this door so that anyone outside is not privy to the goings on in here. The light switch is concealed here, off and on, just in case light switches offend you. Actually, I couldn't shut that door completely. It must just be decorative. But this is what the do not disturb sign is like. It's a wooden one. It's quite unusual, isn't it? Please make up my room. And then there's a breakfast menu. You can get it on with room service to have the Continental or the Lord Astor. With all the usuals here: cereals, fruit, yogurt, fruit juices, cheese, cured meat, jams, preserves, toasts and pastries, and then a scrambled egg. I usually have scrambled egg on toast, actually. Eggs Benedict, eggs Royale, Florentine, American pancakes. Oh, we all know who had them, don't we? Likely Meghan and Doria. The Lady Astor is poached egg with avocado, porridge, smoked salmon, and all the usual beverages to choose from. I like these chairs. They look very comfortable for sitting in. Who's this? Oh, it says here, George Fidesz Watt, something like that. Thomas Jardine, 1906. Ruddy-cheeked character there. Lots of panelling in here, adorning the walls in this creamy pale yellow. I didn't give you a full view of the bed, did I? But there it is, with this sort of large squishy sofa as an ottoman with a curve at one side. The N on the cushion is for Nancy Astor, and I'm quite sure that Meghan would have been outraged. Why is there an N? It should say M for Meghan. They forgot something in the embroidery. It's M. The bed actually looks quite small in comparison to it, but perfectly big enough. Sitting area here, which is so nice for catching up with friends, taking tea, looking at magazines. Beautifully arranged with gold and red and sapphire. What magazines have we got? Telling us all about the place. Beautiful scatter cushions in the same colourways. Nice designs. Plumptious seats. Gorgeous. There's a travel book. Ooh, it's the king in that rather controversial portrait. Iconic. Well, I suppose you could say that. We're not too keen on that one, are we, though? A bit satanic. And another copy of Iconic there. So that's what you see from that side. What's on this tray are teas and coffees, an espresso making facility. And if you require fresh milk, you can call for it, of course. Sugar, breakfast teas, herbal teas, various Nespresso capsules, pods and a kettle. Red berry and flower, I'm not going to pronounce that one. Chamomile. Virunga Earl Grey. Ooh, there's some sort of plane going over, isn't there? We'll go out on the terrace in a moment, but I want to finish showing you what's in here. A telephone. This is a room service menu, all rather expensive for a sandwich. You're talking 35 quid for a chicken sandwich, or a steak sandwich, 35 quid. Desserts, or puddings as I would call them, begin at £13. Okay, acceptable I suppose, 15 quid for a plate of cheese. Starters and salads and main courses. Beef burger, £29, up to a fillet of beef at £38. Behind the panelling is a secret wardrobe with a full-length mirror on one side and a safe for all the goodies. Did Meghan leave any jewels in there? Any tiaras? Any of her cheap love bangles? Can't see anything. There's some instructions. Some drawers. There are some choices for room service. There are two restaurants here. Full-length mirror there. There's a formal one and a more casual one. He's lovely, isn't he? Very, very handsome bust. I wonder if that's Lord Astor. I've no idea, but really nice piece of work. There's a radio that was playing when I arrived, if you want some ambient noise in the background. The entrance to the bath chamber. Lots lots of marble, greys, whites, and a sort of muddy beige. A gown, or a couple of gowns, nice towels on a heated rail. There's a mirrored cupboard here, and you open it up and there's a very large walk-in closet with space to hang your clothes, hair dryer, bits and bobs, clothes brushes, some drawers, more mirrors on the side. A little view of the outdoors there, large radiator, and then a dressing table here with some tissues, a padded stool, pretty mauve lampshades, and a nice mirror where you can make your toilet, as I think they once said, do your makeup. Did I show you the bath? There's the bath with a shower head and some smellies by Noble Isle. Oh, I saw them in another hotel recently. Noble Isle seem to be becoming popular. Then the vanity unit here with 2 sinks, large mirror, more towels, and a walk-in shower over here, so you have the option of a walk-in separate shower, plenty of room in there, nice big screen. I'm very sorry, I should have turned on the light, shouldn't I? But at least you get to see it under electric light, and as it normally would be. There we are, more Noble Isle smellies in there. And the loo chamber with the bidet. A loo, a bulb, more mirrors, another bulb, and a tissue stand. Okay, back in the salon. This is really a gorgeous fireplace, isn't it? I'm not sure what you call this decorative piece above the fireplace, but it's pretty special, isn't it? With its engravings and carvings and plasterwork. Really lovely. And the host told me that she would turn on the fireplace if I wanted to, but it happens to be a hot day, otherwise it would be lovely to have it on. Maybe if the evening gets chilly, you can put it on, but that would be wonderful. It's good to know. It's also good to know that they don't mind smoking on the terrace here as well. Actually, there's an ashtray. Television, we don't like them, do we? I'm actually going to cover that. I always cover TV screens, even when they're not on, with a blanket or something to reduce its presence in a room. I feel that it's nice to create a barrier to block out the dark energies of such screens. I'm sorry my voice is rather husky, but I'm trying to speak respectfully. I don't know what can be overheard and what can't. And I don't know about you, but I always get the impression I'm being watched in these rooms these days. You know that there's cameras all over the place and Big Brother's watching. So I scuttle about in case there's something hiding in the bust or in the radio. Paranoia creeps in. But yeah, I always get the feeling someone's watching. Leave me alone. The terrace is a study in paradise, I must tell you. Is a study in absolute paradise. It's not the sunniest day in the world here today. It has been sunny this week and it's going to be sunny. But it's still very hot and sunny today, but it probably doesn't do justice to the view because the weather looks slightly overcast on camera. But I can assure you it's quite exquisite. Quite exquisite. See for a long way. That's my suite, and there's another floor above. Looks like Eros here, some sort of Cupid. Oh, this guy was doing some kind of guided tour a moment ago. I will say, it is rather perilous, this wall. It's quite low when you lean against it. I wouldn't trust myself after a couple of drinks leaning against this, or if I was throwing a party. I would keep people away from it, because there's quite a drop. I don't want to lose my phone either. But really, the view does go on for a very long way. See, but look at that, my dears. Look at that. Somewhere to sit. And there we have it, an exclusive tour It's a really, really lovely room. It's comfy, cosy, lovely views. A few thoughtful little freebies. Do you hear that? Isn't that absolutely perfect to end on? I didn't time that. I'm not sure where it came from, presumably that clock tower outside, but the lovely sound of bells, which just makes everything so elevated and so perfect. So what I will do in a moment is cover the television set so that that's not glaring out to me. I'll put a nice throw over it of some kind. And I'm going to pour myself a lovely, refreshing glass of iced champagne and maybe nibble on something chocolatey with some strawberries. Welcome to Lady Astor. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed a little snoop around Cliveden, and I look forward to catching up with you next time, my dears. If you enjoyed the show, you might want to treat me to a little cocktail. My tip jar is in the description box below, or leave a juicy comment, and I will see you next time. Ta-ra, my dears, and toodle pip.